Hello and welcome to an episode of Let Loose that I'm super excited about, episode 17. It is our Kentucky Derby 2021 edition. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale, very happy to be back with you from an undisclosed location in Lexington, Kentucky, joined by a man, about 70 miles away. He was out there this morning at Churchill Downs, hopefully gleaned some nice information for us. I'm speaking, of course, about the People's Champion, Jonathan Kinchen. JK, what's up?
PTF, what's going on? Yeah, I didn't really gather too much info while I was out there this morning. Basically, it was just gallivanting around, enjoying the excitement of the backside that is during Derby and Oaks Week.
And if you've ever seen him in action, folks, nobody gallivants quite like our man, JK. That must have been quite a sight to see. Very excited to see your outfits you've picked out for Friday and Saturday. I heard a rumor that you brought 9 pairs of shoes with you for a 4-day trip. Is that true?
I did. Yeah. It's hard. You don't ever know what you're going to need. So I checked the bag, and I don't usually check a bag. It's kind of a travel rookie mistake, but I went ahead and did it. I went ahead and did it this time, so I needed to bring a few extra shoes.
It's a useful thing to do when heading to this part of the world because you can always bring back some of the local delicacy, the whiskey. So I'm no stranger to that particular travel fail. We're going to get into this year's Kentucky Derby, lean and mean, telling you what you need to know. But the first thing you need to know is that you should check out a very cool Twin Spires promotion for this year's Kentucky Derby. This one is for new and current account holders. It is the Kentucky Derby Week Money Back Guarantee. You get your money back if your horse runs second or third in any race at Churchill Downs during Kentucky Derby Week. And the best thing about this offer from Twin Spires is that refunds will be credited within 1 hour after each race. You got to opt in over at twinspires.com or through the Twin Spires app. Let's talk about the favorite in this year's Kentucky Derby for starters here, JK. We'll have you hold off and give your pick, your final answer pick here at the end of the show. But I just want to know, essential quality, so much talk about him, this undefeated 2-year-old champion. How short of a price is essential quality going to be in this year's Kentucky Derby?
I think he's going to be pretty short. I thought he would be the favorite for sure. I thought he would be the fact that he's trained by Brad Cox. He's Godolphin owned. He's beautiful. He's gray, and then also the fact that he's a 2-year-old champion. I just thought he was going to take. I thought he was going to take a lot of money. The other thing that I think we all have to take into account is that Mattress Mac betting $2 million or 2.5 or 3 million or whatever the final decision is on essential quality to win the Derby. That's going to affect the odds. You're going to get a couple of clicks on your other horses that you like. And one horse in particular who I think is really going to be a sneaky good price is the one Known Agenda, being drawn down on the inside. It's not going to typically isn't going to take a lot of action from people. A lot of people will probably gravitate away. And you parlay that with the fact that there's going to be a huge wager made on the favorite. I think Known Agenda is going to be a sneaky good price.
That's an interesting point. One of my questions I was going to ask you was about the post position draw. I know you worked it the other day. Was curious to think who you thought the big winners and losers were from this Kentucky Derby post draw.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to say that Known Agenda was a loser. I mean, it's not ideal to be down there, but I think if you were looking at, if I woke you up in the middle of the night and I said, hey, you drew the 1 hole, who do you want to ride? I ride Ortiz. He is riding extremely well. He's making right decisions. He seems to be a great judge of pace. And I think he'll, if it's possible for someone to work out a trip from down there, I think Irad is somebody you would want to have in the saddle to try to figure that out. So I don't think it's like you want to toss Known Agenda based on that. I think the horse can still win. It's going to be a more difficult trip, but I think he can still win. The other horse I thought that drew poorly, and I'm okay with that because I wanted to fade this horse anyways, was Rock Your World. I think being drawn inside of Soup and Sandwich, with Soup and Sandwich being drawn way outside, I think is a negative for Rock Your World. He is going to have to earn it to make the lead, or he's going to have to take back as a horse who started off on the turf and eat dirt. Either way, I don't like him in that situation. I think it's going to be tough for him to overcome. So I think Rock Your World actually drew poorly. I think he wanted to be outside of Soup and Sandwich, and being inside of him, I don't think will help him.
That's an interesting opinion that I had the opposite. I would have called him a winner just from the idea that I just didn't want him anywhere in the first 10 posts with the thought of wanting to avoid the dirt eating. And I felt like he can break out of there and then either let Soup and Sandwich go and assume a nice stalking spot outside, or just decide to go on with it. But that's what makes horse racing great, is the idea that we can have completely different opinions about what the draw means. Absolutely with you on both your points about known agenda. Is it the draw I want? No, it's the worst possible draw for him. But if we're now going to get 15-1 instead of 6-1, and that kind of thing does happen in the Kentucky Derby, maybe it's not such a bad thing after all. Let's talk about another horse, if you have one, that you might want to fade in this year's race. I mean, Rock Your World, obviously you're going to be fading one who's going to probably end up being a 4 or 5-1 shot. So that's already a pretty bold call. But is there another horse you're hearing other people talk about that you just don't see it at all?
Yeah, it's not that I don't see it at all. I mean, I see it very clearly. There's 6 reasons to understand why Medina Spirit is taking some attention. His trainer is tied the record last year for the most Derby wins ever. Another Derby win, he'd be the leader with 7 Kentucky Derbies, right? But he's going to be bet, and watching Baffert and watching racing across the country, I've noticed something with Bob Baffert with his horses. If he has the best horse, he sends them. If he has a horse that's up against it, he sends them. Kind of always sends them. This horse is going to be aggressively placed into the race, and I really think even more so as a horse that it kind of feels like it's more of a longer shot for a Bob Baffert runner. I think he will be aggressively put into the race, and I think that will affect the other horses that are in there, and I don't think that he's going to get the distance going 1.25 miles being aggressively ridden. So I would be okay fading him. It's a dangerous proposition. But on top, I have no fears. If you're playing a trifecta or a super or something, he's a gutsy horse. We saw that in the Robert Lewis. He might just gut his way into the super, but I'm going to try to beat him on top.
You've talked about the pace a couple of times in this video already. How do you see it playing out? Are we looking at an average pace, a slow pace, or a fast pace?
I mean, I think in most of these races, they've gotten pretty average since they've kind of removed the sprinters with the point system. So I don't think they're going to fly around there. Even the horses that are forward and fast aren't like crazy forward and fast. I think the way that it's spaced out, I think could keep it honest. With Medina Spirit being spaced out, Hot Rod Charlie, who was forward last time, I think that was circumstantial. Rock Your World, Soup and Sandwich towards the outside. I think the pace will just be honest. If you're coming from Mind That Bird dead last, you might be up against it. If you're on the lead, you're probably in a good spot. I think that it'll probably play like all derbies do. The closer you are, the better off you probably are. But I don't think it's a rip up your ticket if you're sitting 17th or 18th early.
Over under on the number of mint juleps / lilies that you consume this weekend.
Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday, to be clear.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. People are going to judge me. I usually only do like 1 mint julep just to say that I did it.
Okay.
The lilies can get a little bit. I can get a little loose with the lilies because they're just basically Kool-Aid with a little bit of vodka in them. I'll probably do. It'll be at least 12 probably.
12 is the over under. I might go over. Let Loose with the Lilies might be a good name for this show. We might have to consider a reboot.
Yeah, my girlfriend's got the great idea of wearing a white dress on Friday. I told her that's a little dangerous with the red lilies, but to each his own.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's a bold fashion choice when there's that much Kool-Aid splashing around. JK, want to let folks know before we get down to brass tacks here about this Twin Spires promotion we talked about at the top of the show. I really wanted to make sure folks pay attention because this is a good one. Twin Spires, great opportunity for new and current account holders with this Kentucky Derby week money back guarantee. You get your money back if your horse runs second or third in any race at Churchill Downs during Kentucky Derby week. Terms and conditions apply. Go to twinspires.com to get all the details. But just know your money's going to be credited back within an hour after each race, and you have to opt in. Go to twinspires.com or check out the Twin Spires app to learn more about that one. Let's talk turkey, JK. Who is your pick? Before we get to, we're going to talk wagering strategy, but when you're in this punditry game, when you're a horse racing fan, you can't, 17 people, maybe more, I'll take the over actually, are going to ask you who your Derby horse is between now and 6 p.m. on Saturday. Before we get to the specifics of how you're going to approach this race from a betting point of view, who's your Derby horse?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Known Agenda's live. I think Hot Rod Charlie is live. I think Mandaloon is interesting. But I just can't get away from the 2-year-old champion and how he's progressed. And I know that there's some speed figures that might not say that he's trending in that right direction, but this isn't a speed figure heavy group. And I also think that those numbers might be a little bit light because of the exclusion of Lasix throughout these prep races. So although the number might feel 98, 99, 97, maybe there's a possibility that in years past that performance really was a 103, 104, 105. So I'm not going to get hooked up on that. I'm going to play essential quality. I think that he's going to appreciate the added distance. Brad Cox said it on JK+1 that after his first work, he looked at his assistant and said, this horse is going to win the Belmont. If he thought when he was a 2-year-old he was going to win the Belmont, I think he can handle the extra eighth of a mile from the Bluegrass, the Derby. He's a grinder. He'll be there the entire time, in my opinion, and I think he'll have what it takes to get home and to get the job done. The first win for Godolphin, and they've tried so hard. The first Derby for Brad Cox. A lot of good storylines.
Essential quality has a lot going for him, including I think I can really see him getting an absolutely perfect trip. That's your Derby horse. At the end of the day, I couldn't side with him, even though I know he's live, because I do think he's just going to be a very short price, and he doesn't have enough of an edge on the figures over the field. For me, while I completely see your point, I'll be honest, if Known Agenda hadn't drawn the 1, that would have been my Derby horse. I'm going with one that you don't like. We're going head to head. I like Rock Your World. I think he's the other one I can see getting a really good trip, breaking away from there, being forward, has the scope to improve in the second time going long. I like this horse. He's my Derby pick, but Derby picks are one thing. How we're going to play this race is quite another. Tell me what you're going to do. You mentioned on our other video how excited you are about the 2-day Oaks and Derby pick 6. You see most of your money going into that pool over these 2 days. For that bet specifically, how are you going to approach the Kentucky Derby in terms of your A's and B's?
Yeah, I mean, A horse is for sure, obviously, essential quality. Known Agenda will be an A horse. Hot Rod Charlie, an A. Highly Motivated is likely a B. Potential A, depending on the kind of the cost of the ticket. If I could tag him in there as an A and it's not going to crush the price, I could do that. But Highly Motivated would be a B for me. Also, Midnight Bourbon would be a B for me. And Keep Me in Mind will be that kind of, oh my goodness, long shot. I'd hate to get all the way to that last leg and let a 50-1 shot that can scoop the entire pool cross the wire first. I may not have. I'm going to give Keep Me in Mind a B look, maybe even a C look. I don't typically get into the C's when I'm looking at these multi-race bets anymore, but I think on Derby Day you can still get away with it.
Mandaloon, will he be anywhere in your reckoning?
Yeah, did I say B? I meant I thought. Yeah, he's a horse I'll definitely use as a B horse as well, maybe even an A, depending on the way that things work out. I thought I mentioned him. But maybe I skipped over that.
It could have been a host fail. It could have been a guest fail. We're not too worried about it. Just wanted to make sure we gave some love to Mandaloon because he's one for me who's definitely on the short list as well. For me,
a funny story about Mandaloon to wrap it up. Yesterday, when I was at the post position draw, we had about 4 minutes before it started, so I was running to the restroom, and as I was walking in, I saw Brad Cox. I said, "Hey, Brad, we're going to grab you first for the interview after they announced the morning line." And he was like, "Cool." And then I said, "Hey, people are talking about Mandaloon. Did you guys figure out? Do you have an excuse as to why he ran so poorly?" And Brad started to answer the question, and my producer started yelling in my ear, "Where was I?" I have no idea what Brad said.
It's a mystery. He had the answer, but he doesn't know it, folks. That's the kind of reporting you get from me and JK all the time over at InTheMoneyPodcast.com. That's going to do it for this Kentucky Derby edition of Let Loose with the Lilies, episode 17. Thank you so much, JK, Thanks to our friends over at twinspires.com. Thanks to our friends at Betting on Content as well. And thanks to everybody who's viewed and listened to these shows since we've been doing them. Your support means so much to us. We really appreciate it. For much more, check out inthemoneypodcast.com. And may you win all your Kentucky Derby photos.